Hello and welcome to the United Devil channel with me, JB. I hope we're all doing really well today. We're the 2nd of July, 2025, and I'm still waiting for these Ineos signings that were supposedly, according to lots of different people, going to be signing today or yesterday, and I am still yet to see any signings. I wonder how we're all doing today on this Wednesday. This week's gone well too fast. Already, as each day goes by, that ticks down to pre-season. Pre-season's pretty much started already, and we have one player through the door. So today, I'm basically gonna been looking at stuff this morning. So I'm basically gonna mop up everything that's sort of been discussed in one place. So I don't have to do 57,000 shows on the same thing. So United, where are we today? So I'll do a little bit of a run through on the transfers, on the boring stuff first, and we can talk about the Jadon Sancho swap deal with a choice of 3 players from Juventus. So the Gyökeres deal, again, I'm getting so bored of this now. Gyökeres apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, unlike it was reported in L'Equipe yesterday, that deal is actually still on. So yesterday it was reported that the Gyökeres deal was a bit more advanced than we thought. They were going to the next stage. Arsenal were progressing the transfer. It was thought that they were going to go for Šeško, which we absolutely would have thought already that was going to happen, but we're waiting around for Arsenal. Anyway, the deal or the speculation yesterday from L'Equipe, whatever they're called, was that this was advanced. And according to Fabrizio, who is basically quite close, and United do feed him all of the transfer news. According to him, it's still where it was, and everybody's waiting around to see what Gyökeres do with Sporting. So I personally am completely bored of this now. I've seen a couple of other people say that that's done. We need to move on. I thought this deal was already done. I made a video on it last week. I think it's done. I personally would want to move on. We can't wait around for the Gyökeres deal. I would love this player. I will celebrate if we sign this player. Again, like everything United do is drags on for so long and is completely boring. It's getting on my nerves a little bit, but I think we should aim to move on. If there's an opportunity to sign him in the window, then I'd love to do that. But I'm getting absolutely bored of this signing now and bored of his name, and I just want to move on. Mbeumo is the next thing. Oh my God, how long is this going to drag out for? So, as I think I spoke about yesterday, probably the day before, all these days melded into the same bloody day now. So, the Mbeumo deal, I heard that. Temesgen, apologies if that's not how you pronounce your name. And I'm going to talk about that as well. So, that's going to be on the top of the show in the thumbnail. Thank you for bringing that up. In Mbeumo, and this is just a quick run through because I really am not going to spend a lot of time on this because it is really, really, really boring. The director of the Sporting of Brentford basically said that Mbeumo's still not done and the possibility of him still staying at the club is still there. Oh my God, we need to get this deal done. I mean, we're not going to walk away. We're going to basically do whatever that we're going to do. It looks like the deal, according to reports, are about 65 mil. We're trying to get it under 60 mil and then maybe add on, maybe do 58 plus 7, 58 plus 7.5. And I think I agree with other people who said now this is about pride. This is about our pride. I think we can do the deal. We can do the deal at any single time that we want to do this deal. And we are basically trying to not look like a bunch of prats, which we already do. So we're going to get this deal done. Some people reported that the Here We Go was last week. Medical was booked for this week. Absolute total nonsense. Nobody's got the heads up on this. None of the channels, none of the bigger channels know, and they've admitted that themselves. Nobody knows. So we are basically at the behest of Fabrizio, at the behest of the club, David Ornstein as well. So the moment they drop, so anyone else that says that they know when it's going to happen, talking out their ass on the basis that nobody knows. So hopefully something will be done this week into the 6th week of trying to get this deal done to save a couple of quid to basically pay whatever Brentford want to pay. So I just want this deal absolutely done and over the line. Ollie Watkins, as was mentioned, from Aston Villa. I think potentially that deal is there. I wouldn't mind him at the club. I think that beggars can't be choosers in some respects. We do need a striker, and as much as he didn't play last season, when he did play, I kind of was looking at some of the kind of stats yesterday, and to be fair to him, when he came on, he scored. Now, he was preferred to Rashford. Is that concerning me? Emery, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think if anything happens to Amarin in the meantime, then potentially we would look at him. But as a striker, I think, he's been their top scorer. He's been Aston Villa's top scorer for the last couple of years, 29 years old, which is a departure from what it is that Ineos have said that they're going to plan to do. But then again, Ineos have no bloody idea what the hell they're doing. In my humble opinion, Ineos don't know their arsehole from their elbow. And it's a complete scattergun approach in terms of the strikers. So Watkins, I do think, puts pay to anything else. So I don't mind him as long as we explore everything else. So an Osherman deal, I don't know what's happening there. I think that's really, really weird why he's not gone anywhere yet. I don't know if that's because of the wages that he wants, and if somebody knows anything else about him. So it could be Watkins or nothing. And I still think we need another striker if Rasmus is, God help us, if Rasmus is still here. My fear is if you don't get a right striker, or at least two, and Rasmus is still here, one of the strikers gets injured, we're going to be left with Obi. Again, he's a kid. I don't want him thrust. He's going to be a fantastic player, but my fear is he's going to be dragged down with the rest of the youth so far. So we do need another striker. Calvert-Lewin, oh my dear Lord. Calvert-Lewin has been mentioned. And I've mentioned this since day one. One of my biggest fears is Calvert-Lewin. Now, if we got another striker, so if we had two decent strikers and Lewin was there as like the third or fourth choice on a pay-as-you-play potential deal, or on a kind of lower wage deal, I would tolerate that deal. But there are rumblings I've heard and I've read starting to mention the Calvert-Lewin thing. So I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's depressing enough as it is. So for Temesgen, again, Sancho to Juventus is gathering pace as we speak. So according to reports, according to Fabrizio, according to lots of other different people, is that potentially Juventus are looking and exploring ways to get Jadon Sancho to Juventus, and the 3 players on offer. So it's not 3 players for Sancho, because that would be crazy. Vlahović, Douglas Luiz, and Timothy Weah. Obviously, Weah is the son of the legendary Weah. Fantastic player. I don't think the son is a more versatile all-round player who's played in 7 positions this year for Juventus. So of those players, I'd be really interested if you get in the chat and let me know, of those 3 players, which ones do you think that you would like to take? One thing that I will say is that what the thing that I don't get, and this has been mentioned already as well, and I think it's a really, really good point, is that why Sancho running when Sancho can run his contract down? Well, this is what I initially thought until I saw something today. So Sancho can effectively run his contract down. So why would he even be thinking about moving? So he could basically take his 300k for the next year, sit on his butt, play on the Xbox, not really do a lot, moan, infect the team, and do whatever that he's going to do. Bobby, hey Bobby, legend of the chat already. I hope we're doing well today, my friend. Hope we are not being too depressed about the transfers today, but so basically we are talking about this Sancho potential swap deal for Vlahović, Luis, or Weah. Now, I'd love to know of those 3 players, which one you think would be best for us and who would have a bit of an impact. And I'll have my opinion on it. Also, just to say that what we do here is you're more than welcome here to put in your opinions, as long as obviously we respect other people's opinions. I'm not bothered about how wild the opinion is. We're basically here to just have a chat. I know some other channels, maybe, you can say stuff, but not kind of really, really say stuff. But here, 100%, I think the more outlandish we can talk about stuff, you never know, it may actually happen. So feel free to say pretty much what you like, as long as it's clean and we respect each other's opinions. Sancho, Bobby, I agree with you completely that we do just need to get him out. And this is what I was talking about. So I don't know what your opinions are on it. Now, Sancho, in my opinion, needs to go. However, talk about Fenerbahce, talk about Juventus. Now, in my initial opinion on that was just nonsense, because he's got a year left on his deal. Sancho didn't want to go to Chelsea, obviously because he didn't want to, or he didn't want to take a pay cut. Now he's got a year left on his deal. Why wouldn't he just do what he likes to do and basically just sit around, not really doing much, playing on his Xbox and doing what he does best and game? However, what transpires, he's actually got 2 years. Well, he's got another year left on his deal, so he's got till next year, and we can trigger another year. So there are 2 schools of thought on this. Or there are 2 schools of thought that I have in my head. Number one is, do United try to make Sancho's life a living hell? And if you're a Sancho fan, then that's up to you. And if you think that we should keep him and give him another chance, I think that's a interesting opinion, and I'd love to know if that's what you think, because at the end of the day, he's not played under this manager, so it'd be interesting to get your opinion on that. My opinion is, and I think with a lot of other people, is we just need to get this guy gone. So why is he looking at a Juventus move? So he's got this 1+1. I agree with you on that, and we can talk about Rashford as well, because obviously there's some news which I'm guessing that you've heard about that as well, Bobby. So I will get around to that as well. So we have this 1 year +1. So this, in my mind, there's 2 schools of thought on this. Is number one is, have we said to him, look, if you stay, we will trigger this extra year, and basically you're not going to play. So you're basically going to sit on your butt, and yeah, fine, you may go at the end of the contract, but who's going to sign you if you've not played for a year and you just sat on your butt and played Xbox for a year? look, who's going to sign you? Because at the end of the day, clubs now want value for money with PSR and that kind of stuff. What they really want is players who have the attitude, because what they're going to want to do is they're going to want these players on their books. They're going to want to play them, and they're going to want attitudes. So I think this era of these superstar, underwhelming, overpaid, underutilized, or under these narcissistic players, essentially. I think that era is done. I think hopefully we're going to go back to an era of actually players who have the right mentality to play. So I do think clubs are now looking at that. So I think if he's thinking he's going to sit on his butt for a year, 2 years potentially, if we activate that deal, who's going to take him? And if he's happy to do that, happy to take a wage for those 2 years, not play for England again, pretty much retirement. And maybe his only option after that 2 years will be to go to the States. But again, who's going to take a player who know, and basically everyone knows that he's a lazy wannabe who basically just didn't play. So I do think Sancho, for all that bravado, for all that nonsense, I would like to think that inside there, because he's worked incredibly hard to get where he's got to. You know, you think about the percentage of people that make it is like 1%. He's made it. So there must be some work ethic in there. There must be something. There must be some pride. At what point does personal pride take over to say, look, you need to go and do something here? Or even to the point where his agent is like, I'm not going to get paid here. If this kid, after he's only 27, he's got potentially another 7 to 8 years left. If this kid doesn't do right and doesn't get paid, I'm not going to basically get paid, and his stock will drop less and less and less and less, and then his agent will eventually leave. So it's in his agent's interest as well to basically get this kid playing again and to get him up to his potential. So I do think that Sancho, I think the penny has dropped. Hopefully I am taking a punt on this and he needs to play. So it looks like the wages, I think he's looking of finally to get those wages down and get a move to Juventus. So the three players, I'll be interested to understand your views on the players. So Vlahović is a striker. I think he's Serbian. You feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that. Luis, who was at Villa, I think he's a really, really good player, and Timothy Weah. Now, Timothy Weah, I think for me, is an all-round player. Amarin may like that. Trying to guess what he likes is, for me, is crazy when you've got a manager that wants to play Mason Mount in a final who hasn't basically played for best part of 2 years. So I don't know what the manager would fancy on that. So my opinion on this, for what it's worth, is my preference would be Luis. Even though he's had a load of muscle injuries this year, do I think he's worth a punt? I think that he is. I think for what we need. However, it could be argued that we do need a striker. Now, Vlahović was at Fiorentina, and he did score a bunch of goals there. Now, I don't know with him. Juventus want to sell him because they've just got I forget his name now. They got a free agent. I can't remember the striker's name. I'll have to find it out. So they've signed him on free. So that means that Vlahović is basically surplus to requirements. Now, obviously, the downside to that is I rated him a couple of years ago. He's gone a bit quiet, and I don't know if that's a confidence thing. God knows we don't need a striker who's not confident. God knows we definitely need somebody to bang in those goals. So I just wonder. I wonder if he's poised, because we'll see about 27, 28 as well. I wonder if potentially when he's coming into those prime years, if we could get something out of him. So if we don't get a Watkins, if we don't get another striker, and Vlahović is basically our best option, then I think I wouldn't mind bringing him in for Sancho, because at least he can do something. As Bobby said, at this point, I'll be happy with Mbeumo, a striker. Juventus will play us like most clubs. I absolutely agree with you there. So the Gyökeres deal. I mean, I despair at this. I've always thought the whole way along that, soon as after that final. But the scary thing about that is that Gyökeres was our second choice, and I don't understand why Gyökeres was our second choice. And again, I don't know why Arsenal are not jumping at that chance to pick him up. I mean, the most goals in Europe last year, I do think he's in his prime. I think wherever he goes, he's going to absolutely smash it in there. Is it a case of potentially he's trouble? Potentially his agent is an issue, agent fees. I don't know. There's just something about him why Arsenal haven't made that move for him yet. In Mbeumo, Bobby, oh God, I just want this done, mate. I absolutely just want this player in. The worst thing about it for me is that the Glazers and Ineos have sucked the joy. I can make a joke there. They suck so hard. And again, there is a something there, but I'm not going to go down that route. But they have taken the joy out of this play. Now, I watched this player last year. I like this player a lot. I think as I said before, because he's a winger, but he's such a muscular, strong, bulky guy that he doesn't look like a winger. If you see him, he actually looks a bit on the chunky side, but he's not. He's just a muscular, strong athlete, and I think in those number 10 roles, they absolutely do, mate. They have been sucking the joy out of this club since they got here. They've been sucking our money up. They don't pay any tax, or they pay a limited amount of tax. So they basically come here, they destroy the fan base, destroy the club, let the club rot, take the mick out of the fans, don't care about his fans, and then basically can't even give us play, can't even let us have signings, the small joy that we get. They can't even allow us to enjoy those. So anybody that says that Ineos are doing a great job, or they're trying to change things or whatever else, talking out of their backside. And I will not give them an inch. I don't care who they sign this year until they go and until they're gone. I'll never be off their back. I'm staunch on this one. Until Ineos and the Glazers have gone, I will not give them an inch. You give them an inch and they take a mile. They have ruined this club. Ineos are culpable now in joint venture because they basically knew what they were buying into. They didn't have to buy into this club. They chose to. They knew the deal. They knew everything that they were walking into, and they decided to do this. So as far as I'm concerned, they're equally culpable. And now we're talking on in the transfer window that apparently that they've been planning since April, or planning for a long time. Of course they have. Absolutely not. So Sancho, once he's gone, like happy days. I'd much prefer cheers, Bobby. And I think I agree with you as well. I think we're on the same page on that one. So Sancho, once he's gone, I cannot wait to see the back of this player. Sancho FC as well. Feel free to follow him as well. Feel free to follow him out the door and follow your star boy to the next club that he goes 2. Rashford. Let's go on to the talk of Marcus Rashford. And again, I am absolutely bored senseless of talking about this player. I do think he's in a separate boat to Sancho, because even though he's not been on form, I think his head was turned. He did a couple of things when he went to Ireland, and he just lost his head there. But at the end of the day, he's one of our own. So I do feel a little bit sad towards it, but he's a grown man. He made his bed, and he's now got to lie in that bed. So I do think an opportunity with him was missed. I've got no sympathy for the player that he's become, but still, he's still one of our players. So when he goes, I wish him the best. However, so there's a opportunity for Rashford to go to Bayern. So Bayern have launched an interest. I think they had a list of players on the left-handed side. They wanted to go for Luis from Liverpool, Williams, but I think both of those are out of reach. Williams has gone to Barcelona, and Luis is going to stay at Liverpool. There's a hands-off approach. Whether or not that's their tact to get some more money for him, but as it stands, Liverpool are not prepared to let go of him. So Bayern have been left with Rashford on their list of targets to get. Now, reports are it's going to be a difficult deal to do because Rashford doesn't want to take a pay cut. Now, there was noises from his camp, and noises, I believe, from the January window whereby he was prepared to take a cut to go to Barcelona. Now, Barcelona is his dream, and I have a theory that the Barcelona are going to do what they typically do. They're going to wait until the window. They're going to tap this player up. They're going to tap him up, and they're basically going to wait for him at the end of the window to basically try to steal him and try to get him away for nothing. Now, I think categorically United need to be clear with Rashford that there is a time limit on this. So if the deal isn't done by X amount of time, because we as much as, again, I think we need this player gone, there is still value there, and we should get something, even if he's on loan to a club who is not as unscrupulous as a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. Then I think he needs to make a decision, or again, he can basically rot. I don't want to see that. From a purely logical perspective, he's an asset. Rashford is an asset, and we still need to get money for these players. We're still going to pay them whether they're sat on the backsides doing nothing or not. So why not send them on loan? Hoping that their value will increase and raise. But Rashford, again, as it was reported by his team, he was prepared to take a pay cut, but he doesn't fancy the move to Bayern. So I'm hoping that something can be done there. I'm hoping that somebody can convince him to go to Bayern. I hope he brings down his wage demands. I think Bayern will, to be fair to them, I think they're a decent club. Again, they don't want to be screwed over. I think if Rashford brings down his wage, then they'll either look at a loan, which I think would be absolutely fine. Like Kane's there as well. So I think actually, if he's looking to get into the England squad, playing on that left-hand side for Bayern, I think he will look fantastic. I think he will look really, really, really good. The Bundesliga, no disrespects to that. Again, you get maybe 2 or 3 teams in there, and I do think he will look really, really good. So Bobby says that I can't see Rashford leaving. He will say he will fight for his place. Again, that is not beyond the realms of possibility. I think anything is possible. in this window. Rashford, I think anything is possible for him. I think unlike Sancho, who's got a year left on his deal, potentially with a +1, Rashford has got 3 years left, maybe with a +1. I don't know. And with Rashford, I do think it's a little bit more complex, and I do think you're spot on with that as well. So I think a possibility is that he'll basically stay. And then let me ask you now, Bobby, is what happens if he stays and fights for his place? Do you think he will be put in essentially a bomb squad? Um, I didn't actually like that term, but do you know what? I'm becoming inclined to use the bomb squad because I think a lot of these players do need to be bombed off. And I said bombed and not bummed. So anyway, I can see a scenario where Rashford refuses to go unless he either gets paid off or somebody wants to pay him. This is going to be a test for Ineos. Rashford again, when he had that season when he scored 28 goals, even though he wasn't necessarily cutting up trees in terms of his performances, he was scoring a load of goals. And do you know what? I think that's probably the saddest thing about it all is that a lot of fans, including myself, wanted him to stay when we had the likes of Rashford, Martial was here as well. I generally thought that, potentially we had the front two, not reminded me of because they played the same, but a bit of a York and Cole kind of thing there. They could play. They were both young. They could get to know each other's game and kind of have that the chemistry. But obviously that didn't happen, and it's really sad. I think it's really, really sad how he's still a young guy in his prime, and most fans, including myself, now want this player gone. I think he wants to go, which is sad as well. But he basically wants to get paid off. I think he's making all of the right sounds. His team are not stupid. They're very good at what they do. They want to take a pay cut to go. And United are never going to admit if he goes to Bayern or wherever else he's going to go that they're going to give him a payoff as it was to go. So Ineos, I do think have a hard couple of years if they stay here. I'm going to remain against them. I never wanted them here, and I don't have to accept them. You may have a different opinion on that. However, Ineos have got such a swing to make with fans. They have to sort out the Glazers' errors whilst raising ticket prices for the match-going fans, which I think is disgusting. These match-going fans are the lifeblood of this club. They support them home and away. They're fantastic. Without that, the sound that you hear across the ground wouldn't happen. They go through rain, shine. When we lost to Liverpool, we got spanked by them. And the whole of last season, the fact those fans went around those grounds, home and away across Europe, and then to be subjected to that final, to be subjected to the season, I take my hat off to the match-going fans. I think they're fantastic. And they deserve better. Those people who watch the games like myself, who those across the world who stay up late into the hours, and this is why Ineos have to make signings. This is why Ineos have to do when you do what they've done, and they've gutted this club and they've cut the workforce, they've raised tickets for the fans. This is why they need to do this for the fans. They need to do it for the club. They are custodians of this club. They should be answerable to the fans. Without fans across the world, they don't have a club. And this is why this window for me, and this is why I'm so passionate and vocal about this window, and why I'm on Ineos' back. I don't care when they sign a player. I don't care when they sell a player, even if they signed 20 players this season. They're custodians, and they need to make sure that this club is not only good off the pitch, but on the pitch as well. And I'm just not seeing that happening. So pre-season is pretty much started already, and we have one player in, and we have players coming back as well. So as it stands, we're suddenly in talks with players. We're going to be linked to all sorts of players. We're going to have the club putting it out there. We're going to be linked to all sorts of players. So he's now just cutting the wheat from the chaff. God, I sound like an old man. But we have to cut through the noise, and we still have to be on Ineos's back. We have to speak our minds. So this is why, for me, this is why I've created this. Is so, and as much as there are other places for you to go, I think as long as you are respectful, I think we need to discuss everything here. You know, all the sort of strange ones. You know, I'd love to talk about potentials. You know, if there's anything that you think that we could sign that's at a left field, any transfers that you think we'd love to sign, anything that you'd like to see the channel do, anything you'd like to see me cover, talk about, and then we can open up a conversation with everybody as well. The only other thing I wanted to mention before I go is Richard Rios from Brasileiro in the Club World Cup, having a fantastic Club World Cup. Now, I wouldn't necessarily want to buy players on the back of those performances, but when a player stands out from a club in the Brazilian league, I have great respect for the Brazilian league and the Argentinian league as well, because they kick the living hell out of each other. I think it's fast paced. Also, don't forget the climate as well. So these players have to be absolute athletes. From a technical perspective, maybe they are not as good as other leagues, but when you're talking about performance and athletes and kind of the tackles that they have to take, also as well the hostility that they face. Now, their fans are absolute properly passionate, similar to here, so they are going to be used to, you know, a cauldron. They're going to be used to fans calling them out, going to go to grounds where basically they're being booed. So they're going to have the mentality as well. They're going to be used to playing when people are on their back. They're fighters. You know, they absolutely, you know, are everything that we need. Richard Rios, I think right now is a pipe dream. I'd love to get this player. I think he's the equivalent of about 17 million to 20 million. I think that deal is I think he would be a fantastic player. I think Ugarte at that point would be a kind of reserve bench player, which again would be another massive waste of money. Rios, I think, would be fantastic. I think he would be transformative. He's coming into his prime, and Richard Rios, I think, would be fantastic. I've known about the player for a little while, but watching him play, I think he's brilliant, and I think he would be a welcome addition to the team and a personality that we need to know. Imagine having Cunha, imagine having Mbeumo, Rios. You know, I think that these players would grab this team by the scruff of the neck, and then Onana would let about 17 goals in. So this is what I want to see. I want to see action. I want to see Mbeumo deals done. I'm so sick and tired of talking about the Mbeumo deal now, to the point whereby we can talk about it. If you want to mention it, then I'm absolutely okay with that. But for me personally, we just need to get this deal done. So yeah, so that's pretty much all for today. Again, the news is Onana has to go. I think you are spot on there, Bobby. Onana has to go. The trouble is, I don't think he wants to go. I think that's the problem. Is that he doesn't want to go. And apparently, we're in for Costa. We are, again. This is the new story out there. is that we're apparently in for Costa, who is, I think he's accepted as probably one of the best goalkeepers in football at present. But unless Anana goes, unless he agrees to go somewhere, then I just can't see it. I agree. I think Costa would be brilliant. I really hope it's true, but I just right now I just can't see it. But it's not to say that it's not true. So Ineos may pull a rabbit or two out of the hat. The transfer window is going to be up and down this year. I expect there's more downs and ups, but I hope I'm wrong. So I really, really hope I'm wrong in the future. You can feel free to come back and tell me that I'm wrong. Say, haha, they've made some great deals, and we play really, really well. I've seen, and I am going to mention this as well, is that I've seen other channels. I'm not to mention them, but one of the ludicrous things I've seen is that some of them are expecting us to fight for top 4, top 6 next season, which in the current state of play is as much as we can only focus on the Premier League. Saying that our aim is top 4 from top to top 6, I think is absolutely crazy right now. We'll have to look at the end of the window. We probably won't have our players in, and if Amarin takes, and I'm going to guess 2 or 3 points from the first 5 games, then he's gone. There is no way that Amarin can survive that. So, if we do get a Costa, if we do get our plays in that we need to get, then I think we've got half a chance. But I think for people to come out and say our aim right now is top 4 to top 6, I think it's crazy, because we don't have the players for that. And nobody's going to know that until we know who we've got. And I just worry. I worry. So on that note, thank you for those watching. Thank you, Bobby, for commenting, for in the comments. Maybe I will hold on. I'm very well, thank you. So Rajat is now in the chat. How are we doing today? I think we're all doing really, really well today. I'm hoping that, to slightly go back over there, what you mentioned there, I think that hopefully that he will go to Juventus. Would you rather take cash or a player swap? That would be my take on it. Really, is at this point, do we just want to get him out the club, or do we want to take cash? I think it'd be very difficult to take cash for him. So I just want this player gone. Rashford is a slightly different story for me. I want him to go, but not as much as Sancho. I just want this guy gone. I want him gone now. I will more than happily drive my car there, put him in the back of the car. Put him in the boot and take him there and do whatever he wants to do. Just get out of the club. Just go, live your life, play your football. Wish you well. Go and do what you need to do, and whatever else it is. Yeah. So if anything else does break, then of course I will jump on. I don't want to regurgitate stuff. I know others do it. They try and split up their videos into different stuff, but I just don't see the point in that. I think it just serves no purpose. I think it frustrates fan base. I think it frustrates people. So I'd rather just do one hit, cover all the news. But if anything breaks, then I will come back on. So thank you for those in the chat. Thank you so much for watching. When you comment on the videos, it means so much to me. The likes on the video as well mean so much to me, more than you could ever imagine. When people say that, I mean, for me, the fact that you're engaging with me, I think is amazing. Thank you so much for that. So I will, again, if nothing happens, I'll probably be back tomorrow. Feel free to join me tomorrow. Anybody watching after the event, thank you so much as well. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. It does really help us out. We're close to 2,000 subscribers, so if we get to 2,000, that will be immense. 2,000 would be absolutely crazy. And again, that's all thanks to you guys. So you lot are amazing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me rabbit on for close to an hour. And I'll hopefully see you again very soon. Take care all, and see you shortly. Take care.